Welcome to Go with Kyle Harbaugh.
Hello and welcome to Go with Kyle Harbaugh. By combining traditional business building methods with AI, I help law firms and a variety of businesses thrive in a changing world to build personalized roadmaps to success. Today, we're diving into the easiest way to grow your business. And I have somebody special with me, my co-founder, Sam Robinson. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's showtime.
Great. I'm so glad, and let's just dive right in. Sam, you've studied and worked with hundreds of businesses. Why do so many of them struggle to grow?
Great question. So, businesses ultimately struggle to grow because there's bottlenecks in how they both think and how they operate. So, you have most people will say, I'm working in or on the business today. And so the biggest problem is not necessarily working in the business. There's a lot of great, I'm sure, lawyers out there. I worked with financial advisors, tech founders, ton of different service-based businesses, and they're great at working in the business. They know the product back and forth. They know who their ideal client profiles are and who their clients are. Heck, they even know them by name. But then when it comes to actually building a business and working on the business, they go into that mode and it's just entirely foreign to them. So I know there's a bunch of questions you probably have prepped for me on the business part today versus in the business. So I would say most people fail because they don't know how to work on the business. They may have a few different clues or big things or fires to put out, but that's just maintenance and defensive mode instead of going on the offense.
Yeah, and I can hear people in the background already like, oh, I'm pretty good at sales. I'm a great marketer. Like, what do I need? I got it. I got it taken care of. I got it covered. What would you just say to somebody like that who feels confident in their skills?
Well, sales and marketing is a way of getting new clients. It's not a way of retaining clients. And you can divide business in two different ways, either pulling in and getting new clients, and then the other is retaining those clients and being able to serve them well. Whether it be the product or your people or your operations and things of that nature, that's ways to retain and keep clients, and also through communication. We'll talk about that maybe. But the other side is getting new clients. And ultimately, most founders struggle with one side or the other. And so most people fail to either keep the door closed to keep the people and the clients essentially in the house. And the other is they don't even know how to open the door and get a new client in. So there's two different aspects of that and two completely different problems. So to sales and marketing, you know how to acquire, but retaining is an entirely different ballgame.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of a law firm that I've worked with that they were really good at marketing, really good at closing. Client service, not so great. And they really got into some major trouble because they had people falling out the back door all the time. Clients would leave, they didn't like the service they were given, and they really earned a reputation for doing suboptimal work.
I can imagine that being the case. If you're great at one thing, that ultimately means that you have a lot of focus on that. And so I divide business up into 12 particular areas. And
Mm,
each one of those areas is divided into one of two, either acquiring new clients or servicing them and being able to deliver what you promised. And so I'm willing to bet there was a lot of focus and nailing down the sales and marketing process to get those clients in the door, and not enough on the other side because they're so focused and so probably white knuckled at that point of just getting new clients to try to solve the problems. If we just had one, two, three new more clients in the door, all of our problems would be solved. But yet, the one, two, and three clients that they could have gotten are already walking out the door or already have walked out the door. And if they had just plugged that gap, they wouldn't have that issue.
yeah, yeah. So I want to go back to what you said about the 12 key areas of business. Can Can you share more about that with us?
Yeah, I believe you actually asked me to share. I'd be more than happy to share.
Yeah.
Just so there's not any share fatigue, we can stick to one thing or the other. As far as sharing it, so we have, as I'm pulling that up for our viewing pleasure today, I have what's called a 12-part framework. That 12-part framework is actually something that I found very common when working both in the business and on the business. And, like you mentioned, sales and marketing are already two very large aspects of a business. And the problem is that people don't know what to identify. And if you have a way that you can identify what's actually going on in the business, it will actually help you figure out, okay, what should I actually work on next? And then there's a whole line of thought and a system, essentially process, to figure out what can I work on to get more revenue, keep my people, not have to spend money on more recruiting, not have to spend money on more marketing and ad spend, not have to spend more money on the new tech system that we're not using. The list goes on and on and on. Or like, maybe I just need a new accountant because I can't figure out my numbers in the first place. There's a ton of different aspects of this. So there's 12 aspects of a business. So I'm going to go literally right around the horn. So sales is one aspect to be able to acquire clients. So there's the conversational process, there's the prospecting process, there's the ideal client profile. The list goes on. I'm not going to go into all that, but that's 1/12 of a business. And so you mentioned marketing. So marketing is actually messaging, as we have it, the purple there, both branding, marketing, and communications internally and externally, and be able to draw or bring in new clientele. And just starting at the horn here, so technology, so essentially people enablement, or ability to be able to work faster, see things clearer, and just cut to the bottom line. Product, which is, so if you, I would imagine, so in a law firm, their product is actually the law that they're practicing, how they're applying for financial advisors. The product is both them and financial plans. If it's a tech company, it's the product that people are signing up from a SaaS experience. If it's a manufacturing company, it's what they're actually producing as a product for the end user. Or from a B2B space, or if it's real estate, they're building these buildings. There's a lot more there. Service, being able to actually say, hey, like you mentioned a minute ago, that they weren't servicing those clients appropriately, so they're walking out the door. What's one of the biggest ways to lose a client? Don't communicate with them. If you're not communicating with the client or servicing them up to their standards, either in an empathetic way, a technical way, what their anticipations are, what their expectations are within a business, you're actually lagging behind already, and they could just go somewhere else. And then there's other things like price, that they may potentially just, navigate away from, or they're just with you because of price. So you're not as sticky. Scale. I'm going to have that as a 12th one here in a second. So I'm going to go to networking, which is partnerships, partnering with people. The next part or aspect is your internal people within your company, the people that are actually doing the work. Operations, which is the things that they are doing to accomplish service and that product, and what's actually as a deliverable. Risk, which is a function of the whether compliance or I know you talk about ethics and standards quite a bit. On financial advisory, it's like, hey, are we treating our clients appropriately? You've got a ton of different compliance things that can go on wrong on the financial side, as a function of risk. It could be other things from a compliance standpoint of, like, in manufacturing, if you are not taking care of your waste appropriately. For instance, Duke Energy had this coal issue here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I'm at. That was a huge one. They spent millions of dollars with that. So there's an aspect of that on risk, and talking about probability and it potential to happen and the amount of severity. Leadership, which is essentially being able to lead and guide and where you're actually needing to take people to go. So think of it as not necessarily greener pastures, but the best case scenario. So think of your mission, your vision, your values, your purpose. Who are you? Why are you there? Where are you going? Your destination. So getting everyone in the right boat and continuing there. Profitability, which is, are we actually making money as a business? Which is a whole downstream effect, bottom line, more than just balance sheets and equity and P&Ls, or just cash flow. And then lastly, scale is, if you're going to make the bucket bigger and be able to scale up and have a lot of money in your business and make money and serve larger clients and serve more clients and just have more people in general, your small problems are going to become exponentially bigger. So that's a function of becoming a bigger company or a step-by-step process. So I'll stop sharing my screen.
So I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Sam. I wanted to ask you, there's these 12 core elements of business. And one of the things the title of the show is, the quickest way for you to grow your business. What is that? I mean, how can a business owner grow?
Great question. So the first thing is you're probably already thinking about it. So that's both the mystery and so simple and complex is that answer is that if you want to grow your business today, you're probably already thinking about it. It's probably been the thing that's been tickling your brain for the last 10 years or 5 years, or maybe yesterday, that maybe either your employees or the problems or fires that are continuing to bubble up within your business. And so we use that 12 part aspect to figure out, hey, what's the part that you're over focusing on, and what are the parts that you're least focused on, and why is that the case? So we use AI to do that. But the easy and simple answer is, it's probably already obvious to you. There's been a lot of aha moments that I've had when just talking with the business, that they're like, okay, if I can just solve this, this is going to solve a lot of our problems. So return on time, return on investment are the two biggest key indicators that we actually focus on within a business. So to answer your question, could be any one of those 12, but most likely it's either being able to acquire the clients, and then the other is to be able to serve them so they don't leave. So one of those two usually.
Okay. All right. So what are some warning signs that maybe somebody has already, they're already in growth mode. They've already, maybe expanded their office, added some employees. What are some foundational issues that would tip somebody off that they're growing too quickly?
That's a great question. I actually stated it earlier. So I'm going to restate it, but in a different way. So I talked about a house, and I actually use this concept often. Being able to acquire clients is essentially like having an open door and a line that wants to come in to that house. The other aspect is delivery and actually keeping them and retaining those clients within a business. You want sticky clients, which means that you've got to communicate with them, you got to deliver what you promised, etc. And if you can't do that, it's see you later, or we're comparing to other clients, or other vendors, or other lawyers in your instance, or other advisors, or they just won't say anything, and you'll see a couple $1 million just transfer overnight, and you're like, okay, well, there goes that account, what's going on? Or you just it may be a little bit stickier, as in on the retaining side, that from a tech or SaaS standpoint, you might just see like declining users, like people just not using it, or like people just not logging on. You're like, I don't know what's going on here. Or in manufacturing, you just see declining orders, people just or sending them back. There's all sorts of different indicators there, but usually the red flag is people don't want to use you anymore for retaining. And then the other is you just can't seem to close a deal. And if you can't seem to close a deal that are coming in, you have a fair amount. The question really is, are you having an acquisition problem, or are you having a servicing or delivery on those promises problem? So to answer your question, like, what are the red flags essentially that we're looking for? Well, it's one of those two.
Okay. So either client acquisition or client service, both of
Correct.
those got to be squared away.
Correct.
What's something that business owners consistently overlook that often holds them back later?
Two big aspects of that, which is a function of the two that I mentioned earlier. So the first on the client acquisition side is their mentality. So I was actually listening to this on another podcast recently, and it reminded me of it, which is your mindset. You actually project onto the clients that you're taking in, which basically means that if you decide that, hey, their budget is only at $10,000, their budget's only going to be $10,000 because you're already limiting that from a sales mindset standpoint. You're limiting that from a product standpoint. You're probably limiting that from the client experience. So if you are changing your mindset of how who that person is and who you're actually pursuing, that can actually change who actually comes into your business. And so it sounds cheesy to say, hey, I'm just going to change my mindset and everything's going to be great. The reality is that as you're having the conversations, you're already projecting onto them, both in the, if they say, hey, I don't necessarily want this product at this time, you may not necessarily ask the question. You might already mentally sign off and say, okay, well, they don't really want it because I've already seen other indicators here. Whereas maybe your product might be their breakthrough moment. So the mindset actually changes a lot. So if you have a sales rep, a way to get around that very quickly as an owner is maybe either hire a sales rep that has a completely different mindset on that and will go after them and have those conversations and be willing to do that. And that could allow you a skill set outside of what you're doing to actually get the clients that you already want or already need. And then you can work on yourself and scaling that up internally. That's one side. The other side of the coin from the delivery aspect and also a business health aspect is your people. I had a conversation with 400-man, multi-million dollar manufacturing facility last week in Charlotte. Uh, and they were talking about some of their people problems that they had within the business. I did some research before getting to them, and they had already had 50 people turn over within their company in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
and a lot of that was actually due to the next level of management, that there was no onboarding procedures done that were even done correctly or remotely. They knew what that was, and they had great leadership at the top. But what happened is that the procedures to actually train and onboard those managers appropriately did not allow for their culture to flow through and what they actually wanted to have happen flow through. So there's a lot of discontent there. And ultimately, what happens from a cultural aspect within a company is that people quit bad managers. So it turned out to be a people and a leadership problem. And they just didn't have a system for getting the right people in the right seats at the right time to do the right actions and ultimately the right execution. So those people left. Was there about 10 or 15 or so like seasonal people? Yes. But the thing is, you still have to hire those people back. They probably want to go somewhere else anyway after that experience. So either people or mindset, and it sounds counterintuitive, but it really comes down to those two.
So, Sam, one of the things that you've built to help speed up this process, understand where people are, what they need to do to grow, is you built Step AI. What exactly? Can you tell me more? Can you tell me what that does?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the question I always had, so I had my first business when I was 19 years old. I'm 36 now. I've had multiple of them and exited a few. And so the reality is with these businesses or with these businesses, they may know what to do next. The question then is, okay, I've solved the biggest burning issue within my company, but what do I do after that? Do I just kind of let it go on the fly or kind of make it intuitively? Or do I just bump around in my business and make mistakes and lose potential for lose my current potential of making, let's say, if you're making $10 million, you're now losing, you go down to $8 million. And so you're now losing $2 million a year because of a mistake that you made. So a lot of times there's this paralysis analysis that happens within a business. And so what this allows you to do is to get out there, put everything on a piece of paper, put everything out there that you could conceivably think about it, put all your financials together, put all of your marketing efforts together, all your sales efforts together, all your tech stack, all your people issues, literally all 12 aspects that I showed earlier. And it simplifies it down into, okay, yeah, you do need to do the next thing that you thought of in your business, but here's the next 4 that you need to do over the next 6 to 18 months. So the next half a year to year and a half. And oh, by the way, it's not what you thought it was for those next 4 because there's a cause and effect. So once you make the next change and you make it a larger effort, you unrestrict what was restricting your business, allowing you to grow, get more time back in your business, more time back in your personal day, and more money in your business. So now your potential, as I was showing earlier, you now go from 10 million to, anywhere from 12 to 20 million dollars. I'm just using this as an easy graph. I'm usually seeing growth in the next steps somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 times. So instead of that being $10 million, I'm looking at least $20 million on the average of these businesses and return on their time. So if they're worth $500,000 a year or more, usually more, you're probably looking at a ton of return on time, a ton of less restriction for that business owner too. And so I've seen business owners want to pull their hair out or already grabbing their hair as I'm walking to their office, and they're quickly trying to sweep it away as I'm walking in. And usually by the time they're done, they're like, man, I've gone on a vacation. It's like I can actually like breathe and not feel like I'm getting bombarded by text messages, or I'm constantly have to go back to my email. So to answer your question, it provides relief, it provides growth, and it gives you a clear path and a guide of what to do. It's 50 pages. It's long. However, there's a nice little conclusion page of like, hey, here's what you do. So it allows you to understand what's going on in your business, why is it going on, what's the root causes of it, and it does that very with a very systematic method. So we use AI to do it. It's got about 4,000 plus years of experience. It continues to go up as I find things, or as I'm researching with these different businesses. I'm adding it there and say, okay, this person actually experienced higher levels of growth. So I might rank those things out there that I'm seeing. I call them out in the wild, because the reality is that we want real results. We don't want something that is theoretical. And so I have a way to actually go and find things that created real results, find them, store them, and I've been doing that for about 13 years.
So how is this different from traditional, business assessments, or like coaching engagements?
Great question. So a traditional business assessment is like you get a business plan, and what happens with those business plans is it's great to get lending. And it's like, okay, well, I did this whole business plan. This is exactly what I'm doing. I've got lending. And then you come back to the business plan, you say, I'm going to do these different things. Well, the main issues is those business plans usually collect dust after getting the funding that you're looking for. You're like, okay, that was great. That was then, this is now. And I'll take a peek at that. If someone's chirping in my ear of like, we're not hitting our growth targets, I'll open it back up. Whereas our report would not necessarily be a business plan. It already projects what you can do in the future. So it already knows what you're going to hit, why that's going to happen, what are the actual restrictions to growth that you need to have, what are some foundational issues maybe that you need to solve, so you're not having this like rubber band effect of like getting thrown down. We call them phases. So there's 5 phases. startup phase to a teaming phase to a business phase to an ensemble. Like you go to this like enterprise type of phase, and then you got your like big Google, Amazon type of phase fives that we don't touch usually because those are unitized. But overall, as a business, you don't want to go backwards, which means you're losing profit, you're losing people, you're losing time spent. You may even lose your business overall. I've actually seen multiple practices implode of just saying, no, I don't want to do anything. I can tell them probably what's going to happen with a certain degree of accuracy, probably somewhere around 75 to 80% of the time. I know exactly what's going to happen because I've just done it so many times. But the problem is that if you don't account for it, you can implode or explode your business, lose the people, lose the time, lose the effort, lose the money, and lose the impact. I would say probably losing impact is the sourest thing that I've seen across many places. Joanne Fabrics is actually one of those that's actually in the news right now, and you're seeing all these stores close down, people losing their jobs, profit lost, people's livelihoods lost, and there's some key things that they could have done to avoid that in the first place. So again, those are just examples, but those are things that I'm documenting and I'm looking at and dissecting of like, what did this tech firm do? What did this service-based business do? What did this legal or financial firm do to do what they need to do? Or what bad happened and what can we do to not have that happen?
Yeah. Yeah. So Sam, I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thanks so much for taking some time with us. If a business owner was listening to this and they had just one simple, message to walk away with, what would you want that to be?
I would say the simple message is my house example. Keep things simple. My business coach at the time, this is years ago, said, "Keep it simple, Sam. Kiss." So keep it simple. So you're either acquisition or retaining those clients. Walk away with that one thing and realize, okay, I'm either doing this today or I'm doing this today as far as working on the business is concerned. And you can just keep it nice, easy, and simple. Now, if you want to get more complex and you really want to have a growth plan, you're welcome to contact us.
All right, outstanding. Well, Step AI, like Sam explained, is the fastest and most accurate way to figure out what you need to fix and grow your business, where you stop wasting time spinning your wheels, you earn more, work less. If you want to make better decisions faster, visit chiefgoofficers.com and grab your Step AI report. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you listening.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.